All right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It is 6 o'clock, so we will call this local planning commission meeting to order. If you would please call the roll.
Chairman Wyckoff,
Present.
Commissioner Brooks. Here. No, Commissioner Noble is out of town. Commissioner Connolly. Commissioner Marr,
Here.
Commissioner Dillon,
Here.
and our new Commissioner LaRue. Thank you.
Okay, we have a quorum, so we're able to conduct business. Thank you, everyone, for your attendance. Next item up for on the agenda is any public comment. We'd like to encourage anyone from the public to participate in the public comment section. If you're addressing the planning commission, please step to the podium, state your name and address. You have 3 minutes to address your topic. Please make it a topic that is not on tonight's agenda, as we can address that at that time. The crowd is holding back, so it looks like we don't have anybody here for any public comment. So we'll move on to the approval of the minutes. We'll entertain a motion to approve the planning commission minutes from the September meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Would anyone like to second that?
Second it.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Brooks,
Yes.
Commissioner Dillon,
Yes.
Commissioner Marr,
Yes.
Commissioner Connolly,
Yes.
Chairman Wyckoff,
Yes.
Commissioner LaRue. I know you weren't here, but if you want to weigh in, you're welcome.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Looks like we've got approval of the minutes. Thank you very much. Under our new business, we have election of officers. I have not presided over one of these before, so I don't know if I'm supposed to, which way we're supposed to start.
I think it was last December, so I went back and looked, and basically someone makes a motion for the chairman, we second that motion, and then we do a vote, and the same for the first vice chair and the second vice chair.
Okay, perfect. So we'll open up. Anyone wants to nominate someone or themselves to be chairman, we'll hear it now.
I'll nominate Mr. Wyckoff to be the chairman.
I'll second it.
Okay. Guess I'll do it again. It's been fun. I still have a year left, don't I? Do I still-
Oh, on the commission,
Yeah.
yeah, otherwise you would have
Yeah.
had to go through the BOC process.
Right,
so,
okay,
yeah, we're
perfect.
good.
Okay,
Mhm.
I'll take it. If anybody wants to fight me for it, I'm open for it. I don't care. It's okay. Right?
Yeah.
All right, any other nominations? Seeing none, I guess we'll take a motion for approval from the group.
Okay, Commissioner Brooks,
Yes.
Commissioner Connolly,
Yes.
Commissioner Dillon,
Yes.
Commissioner Marr,
Yes.
Commissioner LaRue,
Yes.
and Chairman Wyckoff.
I'll do it. Yeah, thanks. So now we need a nomination for vice chairman.
That's the first vice chair. Yep.
First vice chair, sorry.
Yep, you're good.
Nomination for first vice chairman. That's a tongue twister a little bit, sorry. Anyone want to nominate themselves or someone else?
I'm doing.
And I nominate Ann Brooks.
Am I allowed to second things as a chairperson?
Sure.
I think I am. Sure, I'll second that.
Okay.
Have any other nominations for first vice chairperson? Seeing none, let's call for an affirmation vote.
Okay, Commissioner Dillon,
Yes.
Commissioner or Chairman Wyckoff,
Yes.
Commissioner Connolly,
Yes.
Commissioner Marr,
Yes.
and Commissioner LaRue,
Yes.
and Commissioner Brooks.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now, do we do a second vice chairperson or do we just do a
Yes.
first? Okay, all right. You know the drill.
I'll nominate Mr. Dillon.
I'll second it.
That's nice of you too. Perfect. All right, we have we have a motion and a second for second vice chair of Commissioner Dillon. Any other nominations? Nobody wants to get in the mud, right? Okay, perfect. All right, we'll call for the roll, please.
All right, Commissioner Brooks,
Yes.
Commissioner Marr,
Yes.
Commissioner Connolly,
Yes.
Commissioner LaRue,
Yes.
Commissioner Dillon,
Yes.
and Chairman Wyckoff.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, so we have our officers for next year. Thank you, everyone, for your participation and willingness to serve again. So our next item would be old business. Do we have any old business to be brought up at this time? I didn't see any on the agenda. Anyone have anything they need to bring up? Okay, next item is our administrative or staff presentation, the Madeira Beach Comprehensive Plan presentation. So I'll turn it over to our city representatives. Who's up? Yep, Mr.
Just
Murphy.
to make the comment, Jenny is online,
Okay.
but
Hi,
Jerry
Jenny.
is going to be presenting. So
I'm gonna be sua sponte.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Murphy.
thank you.
Check, okay. So I don't know many of you, and so you don't know me. So I'll do a brief introduction. I'm Jerry Murphy. I'm with the University of Florida through IFAS Extension Program for Resource Efficient Communities. I've been working through PREC with Madeira Beach for several years. And the reason I'm here tonight is because every 7 years, the state requires you to do an evaluation and appraisal of your comprehensive plan. And the LPA guides that process. The comprehensive plan is basically your document, and you are responsible for shepherding it through this EAR process, and any changes that happen to it, you're all to review. And so we're going to review the whole thing. And you should have been given a copy of the comprehensive plan when you became a planning commissioner. And so that's something that should be available to you, though I'm sure you haven't spent nights reading it unless you had a hard time getting to sleep. But there's 11 or 12 now with private property. I think there's 12 elements to the comprehensive plan. We're going to try and do 2 every month. And that should take us in timing wise to when our evaluation and appraisal report is due to the state. And we're starting out with what I'll call a softball. These are a couple elements that you don't really have too much involvement with. One is intergovernment coordination, and the other is public schools. You're not going to build any more public schools on Madeira Beach. That's unlikely. And if there's any expansion of the school that's here, the school board is supposed to coordinate with the city to make sure that any impacts resulting from that would be addressed. And that's pretty much what your public school element says. Your intergovernmental coordination element, your big coordination thing is housing, low-income housing. You don't really have any opportunities for that on the Barrier Island, and so you cooperate with Pinellas County. Pinellas County generally cooperates with you, and I think that basically the data and analysis that's in the packet talks about needing to coordinate on housing, but the element itself has a number of different things that we're pretty sure, since none of us were here when this was adopted, Pinellas County insisted be in your comprehensive plan. And so we're not looking at taking any of those policies out or modifying them. We're just basically moving forward. I've also included in the packet at the back the Pinellas plan. They're going through the same sort of exercise with the county's comprehensive plan. And they're moving things around. They're not having a per se intergovernmental coordination element. They're calling theirs governance. And they don't have a public schools element. They're calling it lifelong learning, I think. And so I provided those for you for the benefit of seeing what the county's doing. And if there's something in there that you seem to think is profound or good, you know, we can pull that out and include it. If there are things that are currently in the comprehensive plan that you have issues with, you know, you should bring those up. If you feel like you're not prepared to do that tonight, I understand. And we'll do that the next time I'm here, as well as 2 more elements. But this way you've got a little time to look at it, get an understanding of what we're doing tonight. I'll be happy to answer any questions about that EAR process. But take a look at this information. There are some references to Florida Administrative Code that are out of date and some references to statutes that we're going to clean up. But other than that, these elements are pretty much static, I would say. And with that, I'll take any questions you might have
Okay,
of
so,
me or the EAR or anything.
okay, yeah, so I was gonna say, the second part the first part is our ear piece, right?
Yeah, the first part is the actual element, the two elements.
Right.
And following that is the data and analysis that support them, which is very modest.
Right.
And then following that is the Plan Pinellas.
This is the way we're gonna go through each element as you bring it. You're gonna bring us the ear data and then the data analysis behind it.
And also whatever Pinellas County is doing in that
Sure.
relationship.
Okay, cool. That's good. Anybody have any questions for Mr. Murphy at this point?
Well, a simple one in terms of that's what it looked like. The only thing that changed on our area was policy 11215, correcting the spelling of moderate.
Yeah. So far, and again, you'll see as you go through it, the references to the Florida Administrative Code, that particular citation has been repealed. So we'll be replacing that with the current reference and also with any statutory changes that have occurred.
Okay, so on the analysis part, I did find one data piece that I was curious about on government policy 351 under our recreation, that we're supposed to have 14 acres of county park and environmental lands for every 1,000 residents within the county. And that's a county-wide ordinance. It's on page 31 of 39.
So that's a Pinellas County.
Okay, that's not a Madeira Beach
That's not
thing. I was
Madeira.
gonna say, holy cow, we're in trouble.
No, that's Pinellas County.
Okay,
You have a different level of service for your parks and recreation.
Okay.
And it's based on primarily what you have.
okay.
And
So-
that's what we use to do the impact fees.
We're just trying to figure out a way to meld is essentially what we're doing,
Yeah.
because we don't have some of these elements, right? We don't have the ultra low income housing element that we could support. So how does our cooperation fit with Pinellas County in
You
that?
support whatever Pinellas County is doing.
Okay,
And because your growth is not, at least measured growth is not going to be increasing in the future very much,
Mhm.
you're not going to have additional impacts. So there's not a whole lot that you can change or,
Yeah.
you're not having impacts on the housing component. But, if the county is asking you for some support with regard to whatever, you're supposed to cooperate.
Understood.
As will the other barrier island communities. Pinellas has countywide planning, so it's a little different in the state of Florida than others. And basically everything you do, they have to review to make sure that it's okay. We haven't seen any conflicts at this point, but we're in easy elements. When we get
Right.
into mobility and future land use, then it may be a little different.
understood. Okay. All right, so you lobbed us the easy ones to get us started.
Get you warmed up,
So we're on T-ball right now and.
sort of, yeah.
Okay.
And this is what the packets will look like. So, now you got a little bit of a background more so than
Okay.
the memo.
Does anybody have any input, questions, follow-up? Mr.
So this
LaRue?
this is supposed to just inform what we may change in our own, but we don't have to necessarily match what is in Pinellas County's.
No, you just don't want to be in conflict
And
with it.
conflict, okay. Okay, makes sense.
And it's kind of sort of a double moving target. One of the things that you have to do is become compliant with any state statutory changes since the 7 years when you last looked at the year. And then the other thing is because Pinellas is doing this sort of huge reorganization of their plan, there's a lot of moving pieces. But I have not come across any conflicts yet. But
Okay.
again, we're in the T-ball elements.
We have to align our system with theirs, but they don't know what theirs is yet. Sort of.
Kind of, yeah.
Okay.
They're pretty far along in the process,
Okay.
whereas we're just getting started. I anticipate that they have transmitted to the state. That's my understanding of where they're at. So the state's now reviewing what they're proposing. And my guess is because it is such a large reorganization, the state will have some comments that will come in the form of an objections, recommendations, and comments or ORC report, all Middle Earth. And nobody really wants to get an ORC report that objects to anything. Comments are fine, recommendations are fine, but we don't want any objections. And our situation shouldn't be nearly as complicated as theirs because we're just going through a standard update. The biggest changes I think we're going to see is basically in the data and analysis, because the data analysis that's supporting the current comprehensive plan is several decades old.
Yeah.
Population is always the biggest one, and that's not a big change here. I think what you're seeing in terms of trends is a trend away from residential occupation toward commercial utilization, and that's happening in barrier islands all over the state. And Hurricane Ian is probably one of the reasons why that's happening.
Okay. Anyone got any questions on how we're to proceed? I think we got it laid out. So each future meeting, we're gonna have a couple more segments that we're gonna be diving into.
Usually two. When we do future land use, it'll probably be
Do
just
that
the
one.
one, and that's gonna, there'll be some focus on how we address the activity center that you've been working on and bring that into the updated comprehensive plan.
Okay, and for everyone's benefit, where's our best access point that for our newer people, especially where they can get a hold of the existing comprehensive plan for review, should they need?
They
you
should have
have
been given a
insomnia issues?
copy when they got
Okay.
appointed.
Yep.
But it's online. It's
Okay.
on the town's website.
Okay.
And I think the newest version that Jenny has, I think, if you haven't received that, I think it's 2015, I'm not sure. But if you haven't received that, we'll arrange to make sure that you
Okay,
get
but it
that.
is on the website, so just want to make it public knowledge where anyone who's maybe listening or watching can find that, and that way we can have some input from the public as well at future meetings.
Right.
Okay. Great. Any more? Anyone? Oh, it's not a world record, but it's getting there, pretty close. Almost made the 11-minute meeting. mark.
I chose not to present a PowerPoint.
I appreciate that. I know how you get with your PowerPoints. I've been here a while.
Yeah.
No, we appreciate that. We appreciate what you're doing and your input and very valuable insight into how everything works together. So really helps us out. So we appreciate it.
Well,
Thank you. So any other discussion from the planning commission that should be done in the sunshine here? Anyone have any discussion coming before us? Okay.
I got
Yep.
one quick question.
Let's do it.
So in terms of what's here for the intergovernmental and then the school is what we have in place.
Yes, sir.
And then the next packet is what the Pinellas County has in place.
There's a brief packet in between those. That's the data and analysis that supports your goals, objectives, and policies. And then the part that begins Plan Pinellas,
Right.
that's
So
the
it's-
counties.
Right.
Yeah, that.
Okay, so that's what we're going to be, this is in essence what we're going to be accepting or voting on? mean, you'll-
Ultimately, you'll be making a recommendation to the town board of commissioners, city commissioners. And the way we planned it is to try and go through all of the elements each month, go through a couple more till we get them all through and then make one recommendation as a package. And that way, it's just a little more seamless.
Okay, instead of doing element by element, we're gonna do it all as a total package.
Right, because I think you may find that as you look at other elements, they cross
We have to
inform some
backtrack.
things and you may want to backtrack and look at things like that.
Makes sense. All right, everyone got an understanding which direction we're headed? Notwithstanding the other things that'll occasionally get thrown at us. All right, all good. Any other discussion? Guess we'll plan for our next meeting. Looks like it's scheduled for November 7th at 6 p.m. Anyone have? It'll be dark. Yeah, we have lights, so it's good. Anything else? Any other informational materials that need to be distributed to our group? I see a conference, anything for us?
We were just discussing when we need to have the materials for the next meeting.
Okay,
so
perfect.
We'll be good.
All right, well, if that's it, looks like we're adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Quick and dirty.